my people. Good rising. Good day, good rising. Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Today I'm going to have a conversation, a little podcast moment, if you will, with my lovely friend Lauren Bruno, also known as Hypnolution. You guys may know her, may recognize her. So we're going to be talking, chatting it up. We're going to be talking about, let me see if I can invite her actually. Lauren, oh wait. There you go. Invited her. So we're going to be talking about conscious love and relationships. Hi, Lauren.
What's up?
How are you?
I just stubbed my toe so hard and I was like, ah!
Oh my God, that's the worst. Oh shoot, I didn't realize I was live on TikTok too.
How
All
did
right.
you? I don't even know how to do both.
I have it on my iPad. So
Oh.
I'm streaming it from there, but it's on the side, so they're just gonna be like kind of joining it.
They get like the sneak peek, the
Yeah, they get
mystery
the
version.
behind the scenes. Yeah, TikTok, we're having a conversation, a little podcast moment, talking about agape love, which is like spiritual love, conscious love, relationships, all that good stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, how you been, Lauren? It's been a long time.
Agape love. I've never heard it like that.
Yes, so the first time I ever heard the word agape was when I used to go to Agape Spiritual Center. That's the name of it. And I was like, did it explain to me what agape was? And agape is a Greek word for spiritual love. So it's like a love that basically meaning like you are the presence and so am I, and I see that in you, and that's why we have this love. So it's like a spiritual of recognizing your soul and somebody else's soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's
as the
cute.
presence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's unconditional love. Some people define it as unconditional love, but agape love, that's the word. Yeah,
It sounds juicy and like honey and sweet and
doesn't
so
it?
present. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Um, so so let's talk about it, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm excited. Yes.
Talk about it. I'm excited too. So we want to talk about love and relationships in a conscious way, right? What does that even mean to have a conscious relationship?
Mm-hmm.
I am new to the dating scene after, like a year or so. So I am integrating a lot of things that I've learned about myself, and I'm learning more about having conscious relationships because uh, I've only technically had like one relationship that was conscious that I
Mm-hmm.
consider. The other ones there were things I was attracting because I was not in the right space.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and relationships are just that, right? It's what you attract, it's what you're giving out. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. What
so,
you
what
are.
is your definition of conscious love? Sorry.
Yeah, that's the first part, right? Is understanding like what are we consciously creating with another. So conscious relationships are those that are mature, that you can have disagreements with someone, you can listen to them, you can challenge them. It could be spicy, it could be playful and curious, and really understanding someone else's needs, but your own too. So that co-collaborative relationship. Um, the same though, I've only had really one long-term soulmate type of relationship, and I love working in this realm too, where it's we see those that are soulmates, or the twin flame journey, the Heroes Gamos journey, which is that inner union of the polarity within, which is the highest form of love we can possibly even have, is that relationship with God, with that relationship with unconditional love, which God is unconditional love. Um, and unconditional love isn't just validating someone. It's not only seeing their light. It's also being able to see their shadows and being honest with our shadows. So not judging someone for their shadows, also seeing those imperfections as beautiful expansions of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's the same kind of definition that I have, you know. Um, I've had other relationships that I have considered like soulmate relationships and stuff like that, but I personally don't like to put those titles on relationships. I just let them, I want to just let them be, you know, just exist, be what it is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, and I think that what happens, the reason that I don't like to put labels on that is because I don't like to put labels on anything, including myself. I'm a human being, not canned food, okay? So I don't need a label. You know what I mean? I just am. And we're always ever evolving and shifting. And although I did feel like, oh, this person, I've known their soul before, we've known each other another time, we have telepathic communication, like that's all like soulmate stuff, you know?
Absolutely.
We're
And not everyone has that, right?
No, 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 not at all. Like it's very rare, you know. So I see why people want to put, you know, um, labels or name these things because they want to kind of understand it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
We do. Yeah, we create labels. Like our name is a label, right? I'm Lauren Bruno. That's a label.
yes,
It
exactly.
does. I get it. Like you can put, it can compartmentalize it and put it in boxes. But that healthy ego is the ability to label and identify yourself as something. Like I'm a Scorpio. That's a label. I'm a goofy. That's a label.
Yeah, all of these labels, they're part of our personality,
Identification.
who we identify as.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that um, in a conscious relationship, we have to get past all of those labels, past all the boxes, and really see the soul, right? Like see the light and try to build something together with the light to make just having like a common soul path, you know what I mean? Like I think that that is definitely, oh, sorry, my iPad fell. Ah, sorry, TikTok. Hold on, you guys. Quick intermission. Okay, there you go. So, I forgot what I was talking about.
You were
So
like,
part of,
soul is beyond the label.
yeah, yeah, beyond the label, like, and that is goes hand in hand with something that I was listening to earlier. It was Eckhart Tolle, and he was talking
Mm.
about losing yourself in a relationship, right? Like, I've experienced this a lot, and that's because of my inner child, right? The
Mm-hmm.
trauma that I have and the beliefs that I've had to deconstruct and unlearn.
Yeah.
And that all comes up in relationship. Relationship, your inner child is like, hey, I'm here, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Eckhart Tolle was saying that, you know, because I was thinking, like, how do you not lose yourself in a relationship? How? Like, I just want to give them everything, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it, it, it it takes you have to know yourself,
Yeah.
you know yourself, really know and remember who you are, not know yourself as this label or that label or this
Mm-hmm.
label, but really remember who you are, who your soul is, that light, that love. You are the presence. So when you are in touch with yourself and you have that relationship with yourself, right? Because you spend time with yourself, you know what your needs are, you're able to express them, then you then you won't lose yourself because you know who you are, right? And I think that space is really important in relationships, even though people want to be together so much. Not just physical space, but something that I heard the other day, I was like, whoa, I never even thought that. Not just physical space, but inner space.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need your inner space, and even in a relationship. And I think that what happened with me in the past was that, in the last relationship, I didn't have no inner world. Like that person knew everything that I was feeling and thinking.
Mm.
And so that just made me lose myself, because you don't have anything that because you're allowing the other person to label then whatever you're telling them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, really losing yourself in a relationship is kind of becoming each other. You want to know yourself first so that you're truly in the core of your essence and you can be who you are freely. But also, we're shifting and changing so much, especially right now, rapidly changing. So, what do you think losing yourself in a relationship is?
It is, I think it is, well, from my experience, what I know it to be now that I've done a lot of healing and stuff, was abandoning myself.
Mm.
So abandoning myself, putting the other person on a pedestal, right? Thinking
Mm-hmm.
I'm not worthy enough. That person is this. You see all the good qualities in the person, right? You see, oh, this person is so smart. They're fucking funny. They're fun. Oh, but that's you. You're
Mm-hmm.
your own reflection. You know what I mean? But instead of seeing it like a part of you, you're seeing like this person has it, so I want it around me. And then that's
Yeah.
putting it outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what happens, that you start to abandon yourself, thinking that you're not worthy at all, and you put people
Mm.
above
Above
you,
you,
and
and
then
then
the
the
people
people
pleasing
pleasing
and
and all
all
of
of
that
that
comes
comes
in.
in,
And
and
I
I
think
think
that
that
it
it
really
really stems from our upbringing, our childhood, our inner child self, because we learn how to love within the first 6 years of our life through the people that are raising us, and that that
is
is
our
our
example
example
of
of
what
what
love
love
is
is.
for the rest of our life until we consciously change that. So I think
But cut
that
out for a second.
oh yeah, so I think that until we consciously decide to change that mentality.
It cut out for a second, but I definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you
Can you
hear
hear
me
me
now?
now?
You're
You're
frozen.
frozen.
Wait,
Wait, a little bit.
who's
Who's
frozen?
frozen?
You or me?
But I get, yeah, I get what you're saying. I agree. Like losing yourself in a relationship is putting them first, putting them on a pedestal, like people pleasing them to try and like pull them into you, right? It's almost being that needy energy where you put that relationship above your own relationship with source and your own growth relationship. And it is interesting because like a lot of people shapeshift. We our organism, like we catch on each other's a little bit, like we adapt to those quirks, laughs when we're hanging out with people more. um and I wouldn't consider that losing yourself as much as abandoning, like you said, abandoning your growth journey, your personal relationship with God, and your ability to create with this person or without them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear me. It's
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you.
I
I
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, creating with them or without them. Can you hear me?
Can you hear
And
me?
I've done the same thing. That's a big trauma response I've had, is like people pleasing. What?
Can you hear me? Am I still freezing?
I just like making funny faces. Yeah, a little bit.
Uh, yeah, that people pleasing.
Um,
Where does
yeah,
that come?
so absolutely from childhood. If you've experienced trauma and you have to cater to your parents' every wish and command, you shift your energy. And those that have experienced trauma is um, they're able to shift their energy and almost be like the best actors in the world because they know every emotion, they know the depth of emotion, they know the depth of pain. And so, in order to feel safe as a child, you had to mask your emotions. You had to build up these walls and these masks that disconnected you from your core essence, your core self. Um, and so, it's like all of these masks that we put onto the world, they're put on to other people to really, oh, I hope they like me. I just want to be liked. I just want to be cared for. And it's okay that we do that sometimes. Um, but truly getting in touch with that surrender process of unlayering those masks that we put up, even the professional voice that we might put on, as long as we're aware of that, that's fine. We could do it.
Sorry, my dog is.
It's when we're not aware of it, that's when it kind of creates a disconnect between who you really are and what you're creating in a new relationship. And new
Yeah.
relationships, the honeymoon stage usually is that best stage. You just see the best in everyone, and they see the best in you. But with a real spiritual conscious relationship, that doesn't really happen as much. It's more so, let's look at the shadow. Let's embrace our flaws and see where we might have fears of rejection or fears of abandonment, and really work through those together, because we're still going to be working through stuff in relationships. We're not going to be fully um, essence, because we're always growing, right? So we're always expanding our consciousness more and more, and relationships help us do that so much. So it's when you have that compassionate partner that's sees those shadows of you, and is like, you could keep going, keep moving, like you give each other that push to continue on the process. And having your own passions and goals is so important. Whether or not we label or identify them, as long as they're conscious labels versus becoming that like subconscious, unconscious addiction to the label, it's a little different. It's like having a healthy ego versus being like, oh, I want my ego to die completely. It's dead. I don't have an ego. I feel like even saying I don't have an ego is the ego.
That's the ego talking.
Because our ego is
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god. That's hilarious.
because our ego automatically responds to things.
Yeah. Reacts more than anything. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you know that thing when that you were saying about when you're a
Pumps
kid
blood.
and you're like having to do every single thing at your parents' beck and call, you know, even when you don't want to do things or whatever, or your reality is being denied or by your parents or whatever. And so you put these masks on, like you were talking about, like these layers. They start to go on so that you start,
so that you can be loved by your surroundings. That is a form of abandonment, right? So you already abandoned yourself from when you were a kid. You're abandoning your true essence, your true being. And now you grow
up and you still have abandoned, you still abandoned your inner child. So I think reconnecting with the inner child is very, very helpful for relationships, especially when you two can do them together, like inner child, not so much like inner child work, but like reviving the inner child, like fun things, you know, like getting excited, painting, doing things like that. I think that is very helpful too for relationships because it makes your inner child feel seen, you know, and not abandoned. And then and together it makes you feel supported, and support is so like, oh my god, we need each other, you know what I mean? A lot of people try to do everything on their own, and I think that's a part of the abandonment thing, the inner child stuff, is what you, since your needs were not met as a child, your emotional, you learn to cope with those things on your own and have to deal with those things on your own. And so when you get into a relationship, when you have something that comes up, either you're going to react on it, right, and blame the other person, or you're going to look within, right, and see what it's showing you. Because I think that in conscious relationship, it's a lot about what can this relationship teach you? What are they showing you? Because you attracted it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take some accountability
that you attract the relationship. Yeah, so I feel I'm doing work on my inner child still, you know, and I think, like you said, it's an ongoing thing, and relationships are not always going to be easy. There's going to be, they call it, I wrote it down, the power struggle phase. This is the first time I heard this term, and I still have to do more research on it, but it's a phase of a relationship, right? We have the honeymoon phase, and then we have, I guess, something called the power struggle phase. And so there are phases to relationships, and you have to realize that people are also going through they have their own inner world, and you have your own inner world, and then you have your collective inner world. And so trying to be there for somebody honestly and openly without blame or shame or guilt or anything like that, I think that opens the floor for more spiritual and emotional connection in relationship, which is beautiful. Now,
Right.
I want to talk about co-creating, because you were talking about
Definitely. Yeah, that's the biggest distinction of the conscious and the unconscious relationships. The unconscious, the toxicity is like the blame and being like, you did this wrong. This isn't, you can do this. And you blame people or you gossip about people. And that's all unconscious. That's like something that in society we grow up with, even TV shows being all gossipy and codependent. The conscious is, I feel hurt by this, and you give a statement, and you really just claim your own emotion. And claiming your own emotion is the first part of a conscious relationship. In disagreement, in conflict, is no one could take away your experience, but being able to collaborate with someone else and really share with them how you feel without guilt and without pain, without even blaming the other person, even though they might have hurt you. Really being able to come to an understanding there. That's beautiful. That's growth. And that's where conscious relationships can really even thrive in conflict. You can understand someone deeper because of that conflict.
yeah, and understand yourself deeper too.
But yeah, the inner child. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because so when we become awake, right, there's a thing that is done where we take accountability for our life, right? That's how you gain your power back, for your life, by saying that I have a part in this too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I got this kind of relationship or attracted this kind of relationship into my life because something in me is reflecting that. You know, something needs to be seen. And so, I love
Mm-hmm.
that the struggles, if you can see the struggles that do eventually come up in relationships as something that can teach you something, it really lets a load off. You know what I mean? It doesn't, it, you lose that blame. You stop blaming the other person, and then you can take accountability and more power over your own self, and thrive, truly thrive. You know, and I think those are the thing is that a lot of people, when they get into a relationship nowadays, I think that something that's very common is, as soon as they have this idea that it's supposed to be easy and perfect, and that when something does come up, they're just gonna run for the fucking hills, you know? Yeah, they're gonna run or they're gonna ghost you. But that is because that person is not prepared to face their own truth. You know what I mean? That's
Mm-hmm.
what
Yeah, and or just realizing it's not a good fit too. They leave the relationship either running away, being not wanting to deal with the conflict, or recognizing maybe this relationship wasn't actually for me.
Yeah, and
Maybe I am looking for something a little bit different.
how do you discern or differentiate from okay, we should work on this. Let's work it out. Like, let's talk it out. Let's see what I have inside of me. Let's see what you have inside of you that's bringing this up. Or decide to, like, you know what, it's just not aligned. No hard feelings. How do you know the difference? What can help you decide that?
Definitely recognizing where your values are. If you would like an actual partnership or relationship and the other person just wants a friendship, obviously that's a big difference. Maybe you want kids and the other person doesn't want kids. That's a big difference. Maybe a lot of the times we do want growth in relationships, and you're seeking someone that can have the same types of values with you, but also help you see a different aspect of yourself. So, recognizing what can be codependent too and what isn't. Codependency is just attaching to someone because it feels good, and not having that ability to source your own power with yourself. So, getting really clear on what your values are and what theirs are is definitely one of the first steps to continuing a relationship rather than just ghosting or running from it. And you're right, it's not all easy. No relationships are, especially after the honeymoon phase, especially after seeing someone. I think in conscious relationships now, you really can see someone for how much they see themselves, how much they've worked through to see themselves, and then you grow from there. You're creating even more from there through the relationship. I think it's great when you can leave a relationship and both be on good terms in terms of, this really isn't working out. It's something that we can both thrive in right now. We both need at this moment.
Yeah.
But definitely the value system is the most important thing. If you're not on the same values, then unless you just want to have fun for a couple of weeks, and that's that, and you move on. But if you really want to bring in a committed relationship, looking in within too, right? Like listing out your values and then seeing where you fall on a scale of embodiment there and what you might want opposite of too. Like, I want someone just as goofy as me that could be really super silly. How goofy am I? How much am I letting myself surrender to my goofiness every day when I'm talking to new people and being weird and adventure? And so am I attracting that adventurous person that wants to take risks with me because I'm just as goofy and weird and adventurous? Or do I want someone a little more serious that's going to be like, Lauren, get on your shit. Keep
Come on, Lauren.
And there is both.
Yeah. Yeah. And what your values are, I think that it's important to recognize like qualities like being funny or kind or things like that, like things that you have within yourself, not something that you're asking to be filled from somebody, which is where the codependency comes in. It's
Mm-hmm.
you're seeking for something outside of yourself. And so when you can truly feel those things on your own without a partner, then you can show up fully in a relationship with a partner as a whole person, right? And then you have two whole beings coming together at that point. Not, oh, you're giving me this and I'm giving you that, and that's why, of course there is gift giving and things like that, like things that you add into the relationship, things that you're going to learn through being in the relationship with each other, values that may be added to your values now, that you learned from somebody else. But yeah, I think that it's very important not to put that outside of yourself, because that's
Mm-hmm.
the codependency aspect that a lot of people, I think a lot of relationships go through, a lot of us go through.
Hmm.
Now, what can that look like, a codependent relationship?
A codependent relationship is feeling the need to cater to someone else, to put their needs in front of your own, to want them to fill your needs that you're not fulfilling in yourself. And a trauma bond is basically reward and punishment, abuse and shaming or blaming or guilting, and then love bombing. So really recognizing trauma bond is a real karmic attachment that we can, it's part of a big part of growing up and realizing as a younger relationships, a lot of them can be really karmic and have trauma bonds because all your relationships are based on how you grew up as a child and the relationship with your mother and father and masculine and feminine dynamics. And so healing those, because we are born whole, we are whole, we're always whole, but we forget certain parts, or we disassociate with the trauma that we've experienced, and then that becomes fragmented within our auric field, within our whole body. So recognizing where you might want to be pulling in those needs that you didn't receive as a child, that's where the codependency comes in. Say you have even hypersexuality. This is a pattern I recognized within myself, like hypersexuality based on a lack of sexuality as a child, or being shamed for the idea of sex as a child on Christianity, thinking that it's bad every time you self-pleasure. Then that can go into the counter opposite of hypersexuality and porn and all of that, and you want a partner to fulfill this. That's codependent too. Seeking someone and then getting angry at someone for not fulfilling your sexual needs where you might not even have filled them yourself, is a codependent trait.
Wow.
And especially in spiritual relationships, we really need to recognize where a healthy sexual energy is connecting with someone if we really want to be heart-centered in our connections. And first and foremost, to then create with our sexual energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Someone said thinking that a balance of the pleasure and the work is best in my.
Yeah. Balance of the pleasure and the work. Yeah, that's wonderful. Thank you, Flying Saurus. I like your name. Yeah, the balance between work and pleasure, that is definitely, like we were talking, like we said, to let the inner child play too together. Yeah, play and work in the relationship for sure, balance, because you can get in the healing trap where you're just like constantly working and working, working, working on things, and you don't have any fun anymore, at that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely need to have fun.
Yeah, we need to have fun. We need to have fun, fun, fun. Like,
Not take it so serious, but a
yeah,
little.
I freaking love life. Life is so silly and funny, and it should be that way. And I think that you should bring that lightheartedness into your work too, even when you're working on things. Still bring that
Mm-hmm.
lightheartedness, knowing like, oh, it's gonna pass, like. And I wanted to talk more with you about sex in relationships. You know how you were saying that religious trauma can either lead to like a hypersexuality or the opposite. And for me, that happened my early years. I was raised really Christian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the act of sex.
But now that I've got
Mm-hmm.
it, and it is an energetic exchange.
And so a lot of us, I feel, are disconnected from our sexuality, and I think that harbors or creates a lot of situationships that people end up in because they don't know what they're looking for. Like
That's funny.
you know what I mean? They're just like situationships all over the place. You know, they want to get
Yeah,
like what
definitely.
sex is a very important part of a relationship, but
Mm-hmm.
how do you go about that? How do you build a healthy sexual relationship with your partner? Did you hear me? Lauren.
Ooh, it cut off a
No, I'm
lot.
cut off.
I don't. It's
Lauren.
cutting off.
No, I said, how do you create a healthy sexual relationship in a partnership? Did you hear my question?
Creating healthy sexual relationships.
Yeah.
Yes. Versus the situationships or lovers, if you know that's not long-term committed relationship. Really getting clear on what you want. Do you want sex only, or do you want a conscious relationship first and foremost? Do you want to build intimacy with this person and then experience God with an energy of sex, which a lot of us, I don't feel like, actually have, which is the ability to energetically give and receive with someone else's energy that's truly committed. Because for a long time, I thought that it was I wanted sex and I wanted sex. And then after an 8-year relationship, I was celibate for a year. And then I was like, I fucking want to have sex, even though it really wasn't that. It wasn't. It was just my own self-pleasure practice. And because I recognized that I couldn't give to those that weren't truly committed. And so this is where the trauma was replaying itself. And I noticed every time I would give out of the state of just thinking that's what I had to do, it wasn't really being in that present moment. It wasn't really coming from love. It was coming from something that I thought I had to do. So once I started to get really clear on, I was like, is Phil Goodlife in the room? But that can't really be Phil Goodlife.
It's just got me excited real quick.
That is funny. Yeah, it's recognizing what do you want? Do you want a lover? That's I was always like that festy friend, that like just was in almost intimate relationships with my friends because I'm such a demisexual. So noticing your sexuality type and what really turns you on. Do you need an emotional connection before, or a commitment before truly having sex? Or do you just want to physically be with someone and then move on to the next? Because we could try on a lot of different hats if that's what you so choose, but it really needs to come from your values, what you're consciously aware that you're doing versus unconsciously thinking that you need to be doing this. And there's so much more to it. There's so much to it.
So much, so much. I mean, there's so much to everything. We are so multi-layered and so multifaceted and multi-dimensional that every topic is gonna have like so many a plethora of things. Yeah, sex is a thing that that I struggled with, and it's part of relationships. But I struggled with because the reason that I was having the sex, not because I thought, oh, I need to have it, but I think that I wanted to feel touched, right? Like,
And when you're touched, that does something like mentally, where I felt cared for or loved, right? And I thought that if somebody was touching me or caressing me, that I was being loved. But then after, you know, if they ghosted me or whatever, then I felt like shit, you know, then I didn't feel loved at all. So I realized, okay, well, that it's obviously not healthy for me if I'm feeling crappy. And I also did celibacy for a year. I think celibacy is amazing for people to practice at least once in their life, so that they can get a better understanding of their own sexuality and their own sexual needs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know it's hard.
it's a big part of purification and spiritual alchemy is understanding your own energy, so that when you're having sex with someone else, you're going to start to bring in their thoughts and their emotions. And we're women, we're portals of energy. So there really needs to be a spiritual hygiene practice between the two, and understanding who you are first, right? Like you mentioned, what it basically comes down to, like your core essence, so that you're able to give and receive and not lose yourself in the process of it. Because that's such a big thing with sex, is that we do start to become, you're creating a union, you start to become each other in your own way, and the relationship with God. So casual sex, I mean, isn't a thing for me, like it won't continue to be anymore. I did one day in the summer, I locked my keys in the house, and so I was outside all day, Luna, and I was just like, you know, what am I gonna do? I'm just gonna meditate all day in the yard. And I didn't have any water, so after 8 hours of meditation, I go down the road. I go down the road, and I meet this sexy man, and he's beautiful, and he gets my number, and like we start talking, and we form a sexual relationship, and he's polyamorous, and he has another girlfriend, and like that was perfect for me at the time. But recognizing that I was taking on his thoughts, and like I felt like I was more mature, because we did have a lot of the same values, but it wasn't a match fully. So that's when it was time to move on. But God, what a great way to meet someone.
Yeah, after being fucking
On the
meditating for
street
8.
after 8 hours of meditation. It was so great.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's a great story. Like an 8 hour. Wow, wow, wow. You know, casual sex is also not a thing for me anymore. Especially working with energy the way that I do now, being a Reiki, you know, practitioner and sound healer. I realized one of my clairs is clairsentient. I realized this early on, and when I was having sex with men, I was actually taking things from them. One very obvious that I was like, whoa, okay, this is for sure truth, you know, is when I had sex with this guy who had like, I was dating him for a little bit. He had like really bad back pain, and so this one night I happened to go over, right, and he was limping from how bad the pain was. Okay, we ended up having sex that night, whatever. The next morning, he's like jumping, doing somersaults, like no pain at all,
What?
gone.
Yeah.
And I had the pain now. I had back pain that I had never experienced, that back pain. And it lasted for like maybe 3 days. And I was like, dude, you gave me your fucking back pain. Do you realize this? Like, so it is a huge energy exchange. And whether you feel it or not, like I did, it's happening, you know? And so you have to make sure that you pick your partners with consciousness, you know, that with your consciousness, that they're aligned to you, you know what I mean? With intention, picking. And sometimes it's hard, you know, like to really see. But I think that the deeper that your connection is with yourself and with God, the more that you will be able to discern from relationships that are aligned and are not aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody here on TikTok asked a question. It said, let's see, hold on. It says, what do I need to heal myself to attract someone honest? Because he keeps attracting, or this person, she or he, I'm not sure, sorry, TD, hold on, is attracting liars, I guess. So how do you attract the kind of person that you actually want to attract in your life? Someone that's honest. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Being really radically honest with yourself. Really, really radically honest with yourself. And then, especially with childhood, what part in childhood were you lied to? Where did you lie? Where you might need to forgive that part of yourself. Did you have really strict parents? Did you have to be really sneaky as a kid to like lie to them? You could still be holding that within your body, within your cellular memory, and you have to forgive yourself and parts of yourself so that you can pull in a partner that is honest. Because honesty is the, for me, it's more important than vulnerability. Like being really honest, radically honest, is one of the most important things you could do.
Amen.
This is me. This is all of me. And then, are you here to meet me here? Are you here to commit with me? And then, what kind of relationship are you looking for? Do you want a commitment? And if the other person wants a commitment, they'll know. They'll know right away. And so, there's that process of getting to know someone a little bit. But then, once, it's all on the table, I'm here, this is it, yes or no, that's when you decide. And if someone's wishy-washy, then that's a no. Let them go. If you're wishy-washy, that's a no.
Yes, no. Yeah, you know what? That is, thank you. That's a beautiful, beautiful answer. Thank you for that. I hope you received your answer. That was Lauren Bruno, Hypnolution. You can follow her on TikTok too. She is a hypnotherapist, and an amazing human being. But so attracting the person that you want, or the person that you deserve, or you have to be that person, right? Like, because you're attracting what you're giving off. And when it comes to attracting somebody honest, yeah, be radically honest with yourself. Honest, where did you lie to yourself? Maybe when you were a kid, you had to pretend to be somebody else for your parents, and that's going to be carried on into your relationships. So being completely honest with yourself and accepting those parts of yourself, and not accepting anything less than what you deserve now, because that whole thing about you maybe abandoning yourself in the past, that's in the past already. That's past. Now we take accountability, and now we build for the future. Now we create new experiences, because your life can change like this in an instant. It's just a mental thing. It's a perspective shift. And so once you take accountability and you accept it, then you don't accept anything less. So if you see that somebody is already beginning to lie to you, because it will come up pretty early in the relationships, people show you who they are pretty early in the relationship. And so if you see that this person is not being honest, or they have lied to you, then you don't put up with it, and you move on to somebody who is better, because there is somebody better out there for you. And you have to believe also that there is better, that you're not going to just settle for crumbs. You know what I mean? Don't settle. Do not settle. That is my number one advice. Don't settle for everything. Yes. You're welcome.
Absolutely. No settling, no being the cameo in someone else's movie. You're the star of your movie, and you're here to create. create with someone that's honest. First and foremost, honesty is the most beautiful gift we can give to the world.
Mhm.
Sometimes being radically honest can be a little brutal too. So compassionately honest, softly
I like
honest,
the
and knowing
radical.
that our perception.
I'm that type of person. I'll tell you
Me
something.
too, actually. I love tough love.
You're a Scorpio too, right?
Same.
Scorpios are
Hmm.
very, very, very
Although
brutal.
little Libra,
Oh
are
yeah.
you November?
Yeah, I'm November 5th and I
Cool.
have a Libra, my Mercury in Libra. So when I
Mm.
communicate, I want to be like very fair and even with everybody. But then it's conjunct Mars, so then sometimes Mars is just like pooh in your face, you know, pooh. Here's the truth, you know.
Mars is a force.
So I have like total opposites in me. So
That's funny.
you know, that's me. That's what you get. Yeah, that's beautiful. Um, what else can we talk about in relationships? So, oh, another thing. So, when I first started to date, again, after being in a relationship that um, kind of like where I abandoned myself, I had to reorient myself with myself because I didn't even know what I liked and what I didn't like anymore. You know what I mean? I didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
what I enjoyed and what I didn't enjoy anymore. And so I had to reorient myself. And then now going back into the dating scene, I got a lot of anxiety, a lot of social anxiety. Um, and so moving through that anxiety that you feel, even when you're in a relationship, you can get that anxiety too because you're creating stories. Like you're creating stories that are
Mm-hmm.
not actually what's happening here. So, like, let's say, for example, you are in a relationship and you
Mm-hmm.
get into some type of conflict, and then you go your own ways, and then you start all day making up stories like, this is why he's doing this, this is why this is happening, he's not calling me because of this, he didn't answer my phone call because of this. Those are all stories that are you telling yourself, but they're
Mm-hmm.
not actually here, they're not actually presently happening here. And so bringing yourself back down to the present moment and being in your body and just being present with your surroundings, I think is very helpful, um, because we can get lost in our heads a lot. And that's where anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big part of the shadow is noticing, is this based on reality or fiction? What part of this am I making up? And what part of this is real? And can I communicate it with this person? Um, you know, why didn't you text me in 3 days? I would prefer a daily communication, something
Mm-hmm.
like that, making it really clear on what you need. Yeah, and it's so important because those shadows of maybe jealousy might come up, or the shadows of anxiety. And anxiety isn't necessarily a shadow, it's just part of our automatic body functions,
Mm-hmm.
but we can remove it, and we can have it be less and less as we practice more presence. But say something like jealousy does come up, that can be something repeating, a repeating pattern that we need to look at. And is it based on reality or fiction? Is this person someone who's really flirty with everyone and you become jealous of those types of behaviors? Can you talk to that person about it? Can you really communicate that with them? Or is that just not a right fit in a relationship? Is it bringing up the jealousy because there is something underneath it all? So getting really real on your own shadows, taking ownership. Yeah, maybe the Scorpio in me, I'm not going to label it as Scorpio. It could just be a jealousy. It is just, things that can come up, pattern.
Yeah, and most things are based on old patterns when we get into a relationship. Um, and relationships really show us a lot of things, about ourselves. And the only way to I heard this the other day. I think it was Teal Swan. I'm not sure, but yeah, I think it was her. She said the only way to heal like relationship trauma, right, which we all have from our parents, because most of our parents were not awake when they were raising us. But the only way to heal relationship trauma or relationship problems is through relationships, through being in a relationship. And I thought, first I was like, no, like I can heal on my own, I've done a lot of self-healing. I'm like a self-healer, but there's a lot of truth to that, because there's only so much healing that you can do on your own. Because you have to learn how to interact with others and how to not take things personally, see things as perspective, and so when you learn to have those communication, it's intimate, then you can really build on that relationship after that, and you can really see your shadows and heal what needs to be healed. And because it's not done healing until you've put in a new way of being, until you've actually continued to work on being different, or on making different choices, or thinking differently. Then that's when the real healing happens, because that's when the shift changes, because you get to experience something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So getting out there, even with the anxiety, feel the fear and get out there. If you feel ready to, of course, you don't want to force yourself either before you're ready. But if you're going to actually try, full-heartedly, and don't give up so easily, unless it's not aligned. Then of course,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the biggest part that you said to me that stood out was not taking things personally in relationships. And all relationships could teach us things, whether that's just a friendship, a really intimate friendship can show us a lot. And when it becomes, a partnership, or some type of relationship with sexual attraction, that can teach us even more. But really getting clear on what your needs are and values are. Do you want a committed relationship? And most people do. Most people want committed relationships. Whether it's monogamous or polyamorous, at least establishing that with one person first is really important, not with a bunch of people at once. But so, yeah, like if anyone in the chat, or if you in general, like what type of relationship are you looking for? I'm curious.
Okay, everybody in the chat, what kind of relationship are you looking for? In the chat, let me know. Flyosaurus says, thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Oh my God, what an honor
It's
to
good to see you.
Flyosaurus, I love that name. So what kind of relationship am I looking for? I am looking for, so now I want something that's long-term. Before I was like just dating around, but I also feel I'm kind of like in a weird place right now, because I feel like I need to experience more conscious relationships, because I never have, to get a better oriented in relationships, or how they're supposed to be, how I show up. You're supposed to also take accountability how you show up, not just the other person. And so I'm in a place where I'm like, I want to have something serious and long term with somebody, because I have plans for my life, and I want my partner to be part of those plans as well, if they so wish, obviously. But I also want to experience different types of conscious love from different human beings. I mean, conscious love is just conscious love, but humans are different. So I feel like I may not even know my needs completely. You know what I mean? And if you don't know your needs, then how you expect somebody else to know them?
Definitely.
So I'm in a place where I am dating, and through the relationships, I'm learning a lot about myself, about others, about communicating with people, and not taking things personally. because that happens a lot in relationships, because since you have like this emotional or energetic attachment to the person, then you start to think like, oh, I did something wrong, or they said, you take the things that they say personally, even if it's just an opinion. But like you said, communicating in the beginning of the relationship, I think is really important. That you communicate at the beginning of the relationship what you both are looking for, what you're looking for, and what the other person is looking for, and see if they align in some way. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. But I'm looking. I'm still dating. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
What about you? What are you
And
looking
you'll find it.
I'll find
Yeah, and trying out some different hats too, and getting clear on your needs. It's first and foremost amazing. I'm looking for a relationship for marriage and family. But I'm happily single right now, and I'm not actually seeking. I'm more so on my path, and can maybe have a couple lovers in between that. But then when I'm ready, it's going to be like, okay, marriage and family. Who's here to build with me and like create a power couple kind of thing. For
Yeah.
so long, I didn't think I wanted a family, and more I'm recognizing kids are fun, and I love kids. And oh, it's scary to even say that out loud, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
recognizing needs with that.
That's so funny. We're such reflections, because I also have been thinking about maybe I do want kids, because before I was like, I don't know, I never saw myself with a kid, like me, you know. But now I'm like, kids are fun and they're beautiful and they're so pure, much like my nieces and stuff. But I think it comes with an inner shift, like when you mature emotionally, because emotional intelligence is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and not everybody is meant to have kids, and some will, but I think that with your own soul's maturity, you will know if you want them or not. Some people know
Mm-hmm.
really early that they want kids. Some people know later, So it's all good, but
Yeah.
yeah. You're gonna find a wonderful, amazing husband to give you beautiful little children. I'm so excited
Aww.
for you. Oh my god, yeah. Well, we'll both we'll have play dates.
Yes, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yes. Yes.
And Flying Saurus, who I met this weekend, and he helped me with like a lot in a river in Texas. Talk about the polarity dynamics. He said he's looking for a relationship which is fun and has growth, solid but not fixed, with free will, but consciously choosing to be there with the other person and allowing them to also do the same.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm, I resonate. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, there's like, I think that it's really important when you are going to get into relationships or you're going to start dating, to get very clear, very, very, very crystal clear on what it is that you want. And you can do
Mm-hmm.
that via journaling, meditation, visualization. I think journaling is one of the most
Mm-hmm.
helpful for me, at least, um, ways to get clear, because I can brain dump all the other stuff that I have in my head, just brain dump it. And once it's out on a paper, then, sorry, my dogs are fighting. um,
Like,
Once you get clear on it, then you can move forward. You know what I mean? So I'm
mm-hmm.
gonna do some journaling and get very clear,
Yeah, absolutely.
be very clear on what it is
Mm-hmm.
that I want. Because when you read it back to yourself, and then you're like, well, maybe that's not what I want. Maybe I want something else. You know what I mean? So
Definitely, what we write down, we put like our checks in boxes, and it doesn't always fit that type of energy. It's especially when you're in love with your life and you're in love with, the trials and the tribulations and the pain and the pleasure, and you're able to get more clear with who you are, which I think is the basis of our whole conversation. Like, really getting clear on who we are. That's when you know, you don't even really need to be looking for a partner. They'll come into your life because they're meant to come into your life, and we've already signed up for that person that's perfect and imperfect. And yeah, I think it's really important to allow people to be themselves and not need to fix them and not to need to take it so seriously, but also someone who is consciously aware, has their own passions, has their own missions. So you don't become the other person. You're still unique in your own essence, but you're there for each other. You have each other's back. It's simple. You
Yeah.
support someone.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Definitely, we're not trying to change the other person, but you do want to be clear on what you want, and that's just it's beautiful how you said it. I don't want to add anything else. Just,
I was all passionate. I was
we'll just
like,
leave it. We'll just leave it how it is. You were good, girl. Woo! I love it. I love it.
yeah, but journal. I can't wait to hear the journal and what comes out. Do you doodle when you journal? Because mine is like all over
Yeah, I
the place.
doodle. My journal is all over the place. It's crazy. I'm just like, wow, this is what my brain looks like.
It's like, good old brain.
There's doodles, there's scribbles, there's words, there's everything's like not things are not usually in order. Things are just everywhere. Unless I'm writing like full page, just like writing. Yeah, but like this one, for example, I'll show you one of my other journals. This is a journal. Let me get a good page. So this was one that I was trying to keep organized, but see, there's pictures, music, arrows. I don't know, all kinds of shit.
I like the arrows. That's like coming up and out the heart.
Yeah, it's just what I was feeling, like the energy. Sometimes I don't even know what I write. What is it? Let's see. The present, the future, the past. How it's just you can go into any with your consciousness. That's what I was trying to explain.
Yeah.
You can go forward, backwards, up, down, wherever. Yeah, but that's beautiful. Yeah. I just want to talk a little bit about being yourself in your relationship. Really showing up as yourself. And I think that you can truly show up as yourself when you are gentle on yourself, when you don't judge yourself so harshly, when you're trying your best, and you have come so far. The more that you start to empathize with yourself, you can empathize with others and accept others even with their faults or what are they called, imperfections. They're beautiful imperfections, perfectly imperfect. And once you see yourself as a perfectly imperfect puzzle piece of the universe, then you can see the other person as another piece to the grander picture, and you won't be so judgmental or picky, I think, at that point. Because I'm so picky. I'm like, I'm sorry.
It's good to be picky. You have standards.
I do. I'm not ashamed. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. That's why I say don't settle.
Absolutely. Sing your soul song and that perfect person will come in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, Morph.
Oh my gosh. Anything else you want to talk about before we jump off this little podcast?
No, it was great. I really appreciated this conversation and where it went, where it took us, and all the tips that you had were really great.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Definitely the last part of just being compassionate with yourself first and foremost, because we're all healing and we're all, especially within conscious awareness, we're looking at the depths of the collective pain. And so really being compassionate with that, because there's so much light in this world and there's so much light you have to offer. And there's so much beauty within each and every one of everyone listening, and within you, Luna, and within me. And we're here to share it and sparkle and shine with someone that's divine. That rhymed.
Yes, that dropped the dime. At the drop of a dime. Oh, that rhymed too. Oh my gosh. Well, I love you so much. You're amazing.
I love
You've
you.
given such great insight and advice and relationships. I always love to listen to your perspective, you know, with the type of work that you do, and it's beautiful to see that I'm not the only one that thinks and feels certain ways, you know, and you're here as a reflection of me, and I'm here as a reflection of you. You're a beautiful soul, and everyone watching and listening, you guys are all amazing, beautiful souls as well, and you deserve the very, very best. Okay, don't settle for less. Know your worth, value yourself, and it'll all work out for you. Just trust. It will all work out for you. Believe. I know it will. Oh my God. What a beautiful day. Beautiful conversation. I'm so excited to hopefully talk to you again. So, yeah, I think that's all for today, guys.
I love you. Yes, that was
I
beautiful.
love you. Hi, Crystalline Morphic. Hi, Spiritual Sage, my lovey. All right, guys. So that's the end of the podcast. We're talking about relationships and love and conscious relationships and all of the good stuff. This will be available. I'm going to put it on my YouTube and on my Instagram. So if you guys are interested, go hit that link and follow my YouTube, okay? Go ahead, follow my YouTube, please. Like and subscribe. Yeah. You know. You know. All right.
All right.
Until next time.
Bye, love.
Bye. Love you.
Mwah.